You've done it hundreds of times without thinking. One quick swipe, a tiny flash, and fire. But here's the thing. That little moment involves a chain reaction so precise that chemists spent decades trying to figure it out. And a few people actually died trying to make it safer. So, what's actually happening in those first few milliseconds? Let's break it down. Before matches existed, starting a fire was genuinely hard work. Flint, steel, tinder, and a lot of patience. Then in 1826, an English chemist named John Walker accidentally discovered that a paste he was mixing ignited when it scraped against his hearth. He wasn't even trying to invent anything. That happy accident gave us the first friction match. The early versions, though? They were terrifying. They used white phosphorus, which is toxic, causes bone decay, and could spontaneously catch fire if you weren't careful. Factory workers who made them developed a condition so painful it was called phossy jaw. It took decades and international pressure before the world moved on to safer chemistry. What's actually inside a match head? Modern safety matches are a two-part system, and that's intentional. The match head itself contains an oxidizer, usually potassium chlorate, which is a compound that releases oxygen when heated. It also has sulfur, powdered glass for friction, and a binder to hold everything together. The striking strip on the side of the box? That's where red phosphorus lives, a far safer form of phosphorus than what they used in the 1800s. On its own, neither the match head nor the strip will do anything. But the moment you drag one across the other, you get enough heat from friction to convert a tiny bit of that red phosphorus into white phosphorus vapor. And that reacts almost instantly with the potassium chlorate. That triggers the sulfur to ignite, which then lights the wooden stem. The whole thing happens in under a second. You might have noticed there are two main kinds of matches. Safety matches, the ones we just talked about, only work on the specific strip they come with. That's the whole point. The reactive chemicals are separated so they can't ignite accidentally. Strike anywhere matches are different. They pack all the chemistry into the match head itself, typically using tetraphosphorus trisulfide, which is stable enough to handle but reactive enough to ignite on almost any rough surface. They're convenient, but they require more care in storage. And in many places, they've become harder to find because of stricter safety regulations around the materials involved. Here's something people overlook. The speed and angle of the strike actually matters. Too slow, and you don't generate enough heat for the reaction to kick off. Too fast, or at the wrong angle, and you might generate heat in the wrong spot or break the match before it lights. There's a sweet spot, usually a firm, quick drag, at roughly a 45-degree angle, where the friction is concentrated right at the match head tip. The ignition temperature for a safety match is roughly 150 to 200 degrees Celsius. That's generated almost entirely by mechanical friction in less than a tenth of a second. When you think about it, it's a beautifully engineered system. It's reliable, it's controlled, and it's designed to fail safely if any one part is missing. So next time you light a candle or start a campfire, remember, that tiny stick went through nearly 200 years of chemistry, failed experiments, and a few genuine tragedies before it became the safe, reliable tool you're holding. It's one of those everyday objects that looks dead simple on the outside, but has a surprisingly deep story once you start pulling at the thread.